Work. In contrast to the constraining, rule-bound, enervating experiences that often characterize their workdays, they describe the space they co-created for improvisation as energizing, free from judgment, and a place where they could be themselves. It was tempting to rationalize that it is easy to create this kind of environment in a facilitated setting, and that it is different in the real world. It was even briefly tempting for me to feed my own ego and believe that I had some magical power to create this environment. However, I only needed to look beyond my classroom to my client sites and to other organizations that generously opened their doors for this inquiry to know that such spaces for dynamic engagement are possible and exist in many organizations, work groups, and training rooms. Unfortunately, they are the exception rather than the rule of organizational life. As you will hear in this audiobook, these spaces, although they are rare, do exist across businesses, industries, government, and arts organizations. They exist in organizations that are highly regulated, as well as those that are high pressure and fast-paced. They exist in organizations that are well-funded, as well as in those that make creative use of limited resources. Naming the space. In my original research, Meyer 2006A, 2006B, 2009A, 2009B, I used the term learning space to describe the engaged environments that many credit with their experiences of significant learning, transformation, and expanded creative capacities. The term seemed appropriate because the experiences I was researching first occurred in a literal learning space, a classroom, and because many of its dimensions related to learning and transformation. The term learning space also has some history in adult learning theory. Engelhardt and Simmons, 2002, Kolb and Kolb, 2005, Yorks, 2005, that has informed my thinking and confirmed some of my own findings. More recently, I have found the term learning space to be constraining. It tends to focus only on the learning within the space and obscures the many other important dynamics, including creative collaboration and the capacity to respond to and initiate positive change. Each of these dynamics often involves new learning, and learning itself is not always the entry point, motivation, or most prized outcome of the kind of dynamic spaces that people describe as not like work. Through a series of conversations with colleagues, clients, friends, and students, I discovered, somewhat chagrined, that I was avoiding the obvious. What is most not like work in our Western socialized consciousness is play. I was avoiding calling the space Playspace for the very reason it had to be called that. The spaces we create that allow the play of possibilities, fresh ideas, perspectives, and emergence of new capacities as we play new roles are counter to our view of what the workplace is supposed to feel like. When people experience play space and, more important, experience themselves and each other in play space, they describe being energized, inspired, and even astonished with themselves. For this reason, this audiobook has been titled From Workplace to Playspace, because in order to create such spaces in innovating, learning, and changing, we must first make a fundamental mindset shift from workplace, with all of its constraining connotations and habits of mind, to playspace, and the dynamic engagement it fosters. Introduction. This book is about visionary, courageous, innovative, persistent, and yes, sometimes playful organizational leaders, facilitators, and participants who challenge long-held preconceptions about the incompatibility of workplace and playspace. In the face of their stakeholders, competitors, and sometimes even their own employees and colleagues' claims that their approaches were risky, inappropriate, and even corny, they forged ahead. You will hear of a small community bank in the Northwest that overtook all competitors in its home market